Okay, let's go through the solution to the Animal Crossing problem. So remember, this one was we had five wood and 2 iron ore nuggets to make a barrel. Wood stored in groups of 30, iron ore is stored in groups of 30. We know the fewest number of groups of each we could take out. So once we've made as many barrels as we can, we use up all the materials. So really, to understand the problem, we just need to know that the barrel comes from 5 wood and 2 iron ore nuggets. So let's put that in this little note here. And then wood is stored in piles of 30, and iron ore is stored in piles of 30. So there's my depiction of that. So here's everything that we need to know. Barrels come from 5 wood, 2 iron ore, and then I can grab groups of 30 of both of these. Some heuristics you could use. You could relate this to a similar problem. This feels like a least common multiple problem. There's like one extra step to that, but if you've done problems like that before, maybe that's the way to go. You could make an organized list or a table. Maybe you could model this with algebra. Using inductive reasoning to look for a pattern would probably work pretty well here, and then use trial and error would be another way. That's the way I'm going to use. So let's just start. So if we grab 30 wood would be enough to make 6 barrels. 6 barrels would take 6 times 2 or 12 iron ore nuggets. 12 is in a multiple of 30, so we're going to have to keep going. My next step would be to take 60 wood. But notice here, like, 12 iron ore nuggets is less than 30, so it would probably be faster to go the other way. So let's start over looking at iron ore nuggets. If we had 30 iron ore, we could make 15 barrels. 15 times 5 is 75. 75 is not a multiple of 30, so we have to keep going. But notice how much quicker I'm going to get to a good solution here, because I'm not building up toward 30. I'm already past it. If we had 60 iron ore, we could make 30 barrels. 30 barrels would take 150 wood. 150 wood is a multiple of 30, so that's got to be it. So 30 barrels would take 2 stacks of 30 iron ore and 5 stacks of 30 wood. Can we check a result? Does it make sense? Well, since the numbers actually match up exactly with the initial requirements, 5 wood, 2 iron ores, it seems likely that that would work. Would this always work this way? And thinking this through is a good idea. It's a good way to make sure that this problem all makes sense, that you feel good about it, that you understand it. Can you get there a different way? Especially if you didn't model this with mathematics, can you write down numbers? Like if I tell you how much wood you've got, can you tell me like the steps I would need to take to figure out how much iron ore I would need? Even if it's not formal, could you model this with mathematics? That's a good little exercise if that's not what you usually do. Can you use this result in other problems? Does this relate to other problems outside of Animal Crossing? Uh, More importantly here, I want you to think about you solve problems all the time. Every day you solve a ton of problems. Everything you do, everything you need to figure out, even if you've done it before, you're solving a problem. Now, often when you're solving problems that way, things you've done before, you don't think about it as solving a problem because you're just remembering how you did something. That's just relating it to a similar problem. But think about these steps when you're problem solving. Okay, think about, did you understand the problem? What heuristic did you use? And that one's kind of tricky because I know we don't normally think about how we're figuring things out, but it's worth your time to think about. What steps did you take? Did you relate it to another problem? Did you learn anything new? Could you solve that same problem again? So when you're problem solving, if you take the extra mental thought to add to that problem solving, okay, how am I moving through those 4 steps of Polya's 4-step problem solving process, you're going to become a better problem solver. Not because you'll solve the problem you're currently working on better, but because you'll be better equipped to solve problems in the future because you're always kind of thinking in that way.